What's going on, guys? Car Review Guys here. My name is AJ, and this week we have the 2022 Toyota Camry TRD. 7 days, which means 3 or 4 videos for you guys. Here's the deal. We're going to do an overall review. We're going to do 5 things we hate, 5 things we love, and then probably what it's like to really live with the car towards the end of the week, so you guys get the full effect of what this car is about. And next week we're moving on to a Mazda, but stay tuned for that. Let's jump right on into this review. Let's roll. Alright guys, we're in the 2022 Toyota Camry TRD. We're going to start off inside the car. Generally I talk about the exterior really quick and then move to the inside. Let's start in the inside on this one, just because it is 103 degrees here in Arizona, so it's a pretty warm one. So let's start off with the quick facts about this car. Okay, so it has a V6, it is an 8-speed automatic, it is getting 22 city and 31 mpgs highway. It has a 15.8 gallon fuel tank. As I said, it is a V6, but it's a 3.5 liter V6. And it's pushing out around 301 horsepower in this 4-door sedan. So not bad for what you're getting. You know, this car stickers for around 35, 36, somewhere in that range with the option of this car. And so it's not that bad. Now that we've gotten past some of the stats and figures, let's actually talk about the real things that you guys want to know about this car. As in, what does it drive like? What does it feel like? You know, because anyone can kind of just Google the stats, but let's talk about, you know, all the interior. Right off the bat, okay, I've driven this car roughly 5 to 10 miles, not very far. This is just my very first impression. The screen is nice and big, which I'm about to switch to another camera for you guys right now. You can see here that the screen is nice and big. That is nice. The shifter is like leather wrapped with dual stitching on it, which looks pretty nice. You do have 3 sport modes here, or 3 modes, not sport modes, okay? Eco, normal, and sport. Moving over here, you have very basic controls over here. You have your, obviously, window switches, lock, unlock, and your power mirrors. And then, you know, people being annoying with windows, you can turn that on. The one nice thing I will note, all windows are one touch. Up and down. So that's actually a nice touch. Usually it's like just the fronts or just the driver, whatever. That's pretty nice. Nice little touch there. Moving over here, you have your automatic high beam headlights, traction control, trunk, and gas. There are a few buttons missing here, one of which, if you had a higher trim level, which is not possible for the TRD version, which is Toyota Race Development, that it would have a heated steering wheel. So doesn't have it in this car, but yeah, you can get it in other Camrys. Okay, and then back here on the stock, pretty standard for your lights. Obviously, I don't know why anyone else would keep it not on auto, but to each their own. Nonetheless, it's on auto. Here we have the volume control, so plus minus. This controls your menu up there. This is all your cruise control items. This is lane centering. This is your adaptive cruise control. You have your different modes for over here, and then you've also got your tracks, right? And then you got paddle shifters behind, plus minus, which you can also shift with the shifter as well by pulling it back and knocking it over just like that, which is pretty standard in a lot of cars. Putting it into reverse, this is what the rear camera looks like on this car. You do have just a couple of options here to where you can make it look more not panoramic, I guess I'll call it, because this is definitely panoramic. And it kind of shows you over here what it looks like, right? Like the white's the field of view, so you can see on the left one it's got the whole field of view, and on the right one, like it's just the middle. So that's up to you. as to, you know, what you want to set it at, but that's kind of the quality. I won't lie, I've definitely seen better in today's market as far as the camera quality, but nonetheless, it's still there, and it's good enough to help you see where you're going. Moving over to the tach and speedometer here, pretty standard, I guess. It's actually, to me, maybe slightly outdated. It, you know, has this little screen here, and that's it. Other than that, it's analog, which, you know, it does the job. There's nothing wrong with that. It just, I don't know, I feel like it maybe could have probably an LED dash. It probably wouldn't be that much more expensive. Maybe an extra $300 to $800, maybe. And I think people would be willing to pay that, to be honest. But nonetheless, that's what you got. You may also notice here in the center, it is only single climate control. There's no dual zone. It is single zone. So that's what you're getting in the TRD. There's no way to upgrade from that. One of the very few upgraded options is the JBL sound system, which I've already mentioned. It shows it up there as well on the little speakers in both corners. So yeah, that's another thing, you know, I don't know, they just don't allow you very many options on this car. The one other thing I wanted to mention very quickly was, I'll try to zoom in here the best I can, was the view that you get. I don't know if you can see that, but you can actually see the wing in your mirror. That is definitely different in a four-door sedan, and I personally really like it. It is a really, really cool touch, and it sticks out just ever so slightly right there. You can see it. That is a really, really cool touch. And finishing up front with the center console and glove box area. So if we pull this up, you've got a decent amount of room. I mean, you can come down here a decent amount. I mean, it's literally almost my entire arm, to be honest. So it's got good storage here, which is nice. And then the glove box is honestly, it's a little bit small. I mean, it has the manual there, but past that, you're not getting too much in there. So that's, yeah. Alrighty, and finishing up the interior, just from speaking about it before we get it out on the road, I'll talk about what it drives like, how the seats feel, all of that sort of stuff in the interior. But just finishing up as far as interior here, the rear seats have roughly 38 inches of legroom. Obviously the trunk, good size. I will show you guys all of that stuff in the cinematic in 3, 2, 1, let's roll. Let's quickly talk about the exterior. Obviously you can form your own opinions, but it does have a mesh grille, has HID headlights, not the LED in some of the other models. It has bigger brakes with red calipers. It does have a front lip and a side skirt, which is pretty nice. Black mirrors, two-tone. And then moving to the back, you do have this nice spoiler sitting there, which is definitely a nice touch. All right, without further ado, let's jump on the road and let's talk about how this thing drives. Again, I've only got about 10 miles under my belt right now with this car. We do have this car for 7 days. Again, really quickly, I'm gonna be doing a 3 to 4 video series. So this is the overall review. We're gonna do 5 things we love, 5 things we hate, and at the very end of the week, we're gonna be discussing what it's like living with this Camry TRD for a week. because, you know, once you get more familiar with it, your opinions may slightly change, and you may find different little quirks or features. And I also post shorts and stuff like that to just point out little things on these cars that you may or may not realize. So let's jump into this and see how she drives, because I'm kind of interested even myself, because for those of you that follow my channel, obviously I've driven the 2022 Camry hybrid, but I have not driven the TRD. And I've driven other Camrys that are I've driven an SE21 model. But yeah, that's really my extent with Camrys. Let's see how it stacks up to some of the other cars. As some of you know, I've been reviewing cars for a while now, 2 to 3 years, and this is actually the first press car that I've gotten, and I should be getting more going forward. With that said, I just want to tell you my point of view. I'm an exotic car owner. I have a 2008 gated manual Audi R8, and I have a C7 Z06 Corvette, and then daily drivers are a Kia Optima, which the wife mainly drives. It's an EX, so it has all the bells and whistles. And what I daily drive generally is a Volkswagen Arteon SEL Premium 4Motion. So it's the highest model you can get on that car. So that's my perspective, right? I mean, I've driven a ton of cars, but from a day-to-day, that's kind of my perspective. So, and I think that really helps, because perspective is everything, right? Like, if you've never owned a new car in your entire life, this car is going to seem absolutely amazing. But if you get a brand new car every single year, or even every 3 years, and you know, you're constantly changing in and out, or you're used to the highest trim level of something, and then you're going to come down to this, like, those are the things I'm going to try to point out for you guys. Okay, so even in my hate video, don't take it so seriously, just calm down, it's going to be okay. Okay, I'm just pointing out what could be better. So we're getting out to the main road here. Green light, that's good. We're going to take her right out onto the freeway and see how she does. First thing I notice, I don't know if you guys can hear that. I'm really hoping you can. This car has a little bit of an exhaust note. Like, it's not loud, but you can hear it for sure, which is definitely nice. There is nothing wrong with hearing a little exhaust note, at least not for me. I mean, if you want a dead silent car, I don't know why you'd be looking honestly at the TRD anyway, because you're sacrificing a lot of features. You could get a lot of other features, and you get more features in an XSE, for example, heated seats, heated steering wheel. And then if you go to the XLE, you got heated seats, ventilated seats, like you got memory settings for your seats. Like, you don't get any of that stuff in this car, okay? You just don't. All right, let's merge on here. Get her going, get her going. 75, all right. So 75 is the speed limit here in Arizona. Calm down, calm down. Setting the cruise, let's see. Set, okay, radar, good. Let's start off with the lane centering. Let's talk about that, okay? That's the first thing I noticed on the freeway. My hands are here, car's driving itself, dead down the center. No issues. Now, I don't know what it is exactly, 15, 20 seconds, it's gonna yell at me and it's gonna say, hey, put your hands on the wheel, dummy, like it's doing right now. And like, this thing stays dead center, which is super nice. I like that feature. It also has adaptive cruise control, which is also a nice feature. If you don't know what it is, basically, if a car is in front of you, then you're going to be approaching the car, and as you approach the car, then it's going to automatically slow down without you doing anything. It's going to match the car speed in front of you to stay an exact distance away. Now, you have like 3 or 4 settings on this Camry to change what distance you want that to be. And then as soon as they move out of the way or you change lanes, it's going to speed right back up to whatever your cruise was set to. So that's adaptive cruise control for those of you that don't know. Right now, as we're driving this, I can hear a little bit of wind noise for sure. There's some wind noise in this car. It's not the quietest car I've driven as far as wind noise goes, so just keep that in mind. It's not the loudest either. It's not crazy loud, but I can certainly hear some wind noise. So yeah, and the windows are all the way up. Just wanted to make sure, because you know, things happen. You accidentally leave it down just a smidge, but they're all the way up. Visibility in this car is pretty good. I don't really have any complaints with the visibility. You obviously have this pillar, but I mean, almost every car is gonna have blind spot to some extent, but like I also own a Camaro. If you own a Camaro, it's going to be hard to say that any car has a bad blind spot because it's like the worst car ever. So no issues with seeing out of this car. All the windows are really big, pretty tall. Mirrors are nice and big. You do have blind spot monitoring in your mirrors, so it's going to light up the little indication of yellow on your mirror if someone's in your blind spot. So that also helps, you know, go with what I was saying. There's really not any blind spots in this car. Seats, from a comfortability standpoint, they're not bad. They've got, you, as I mentioned before, you don't have heated seats or heated steering wheel or any of that stuff. So like, I think that's a super nice feature, because if your back is even stiff, you can turn those on, get your back loosened up, and it kind of helps for like long road trips. This car doesn't have that. It's not an option. You can't get it on this car, so something to keep in mind. But as far as like the actual like bolstering and stuff, they're really good. I'm 5'9", like 150 pounds, so I'm not a real big guy by any stretch of the imagination, but like I have no issue with the bolstering. It doesn't bother me. Actually, the bolstering almost is a little bit too wide for me. It almost needs to hug in just a little bit, but yeah, it's fine. That's good news though, because if you're a little bit of a bigger person, then you'll fit in these, no issue. The plushness of the seats are okay as well. I don't have any issues with the plushness of the seats in this car, so that's good. They've got enough, but not too much, if that makes sense. So that's good. And I think one of the last elements we kind of got to talk about, and you know, I'm kind of a firm believer in save the best for last, right? This car has a 3.5 liter V6, as I've already mentioned. The acceleration. What's the acceleration like in this car? Again, it's a TRD, so I think we're going to have to kind of get a rough idea here what the 0 to 60 is. Now, from what I found online, I find varying results. I've found anything from a 5.2 to a 6.1 0 to 60, which I think is very accurate, just from the feel of this car and what 0 to 60s I'm used to. And it's okay. I mean, I feel like for a TRD, whenever you're sacrificing other options that you may want, maybe I expect this car to be like a 5 flat, 4.9, which some people have gotten a 5.1. That's pretty good, but when you're talking 6.1, it's okay. It's not bad, but it could be better. So, this car's front wheel drive. Let's do a 0 to 60 in 3, 2, 1, go. The one thing that definitely sets this car apart is definitely the suspension. Like, the TRD definitely has a different suspension for a Camry. Like, as I've mentioned, I've driven the hybrid and I drove a 21 SE, and the suspension on this car, way different. It seems way more almost like track focus type deal. So like hard right, hard left, like it steers really, really well. All right, guys, wrapping up this final review video with the 2022 Camry TRD edition. Here is basically my summary of the review. While this car may lack a few features that you can get on the XSE or XLE, this car, let's not forget what it is. It is a TRD, Toyota Racing Development. And while it's not 100% perfect, because I would like to have a TRD with all the XLE features, nonetheless, it's a TRD. And you can tell the moment that you look at this car. As I've already stated, you have all of the aero ground effects that are on this car, the side skirt, the spoiler in the back, your two-tone look. It looks absolutely incredible. And then as soon as you step on the inside, you've got red seat belts, which I'm sure you can see through there, with red center line on the seats. It looks so sporty. It's such a good looking car. The blue, you know, that's up to you whether you like it or not, but as far as the overall looks, this car looks amazing, super aggressive, especially for a Toyota Camry. I've even gotten stopped and asked, what kind of Camry is that? It looks great. It's a TRD. So, as soon as you get behind the wheel, the next step, you can certainly tell the suspension is tuned differently, the brakes stop better than a normal Camry. It certainly is much better than any other Camry when it comes to performance. So, without further ado, don't forget my next videos will be a 5 things I hate, 5 things I love, and at the end of the week we will be discussing what is it like to live with this car for a week. And just like that, guys, I hope you guys have a good rest of the day, good rest of your week, and I'll see you on the next one in a few days. Peace!